Hey guys, my name is Ray. We are still have about 2 or 3 minutes until we start today. I just wanted to get on here live to make sure it was working. So if you're around, please comment. I have no idea how this is going to work today. So please feel free to comment. I think you're allowed to hop in with me. If you can make that happen, please make it happen. And we will get started in just a few minutes. So get those computers ready and we can check all this stuff out to see how it works. Let me know if you can't hear me. Again, this is totally new for me. So any help would be awesome. I am going to check Facebook really quick, make sure that all of our links are posted on all of our sites and social media. So I am hanging out here waiting for you guys. I see that we have a few viewers. Again, I don't know how this works. So if you could comment to show me, I wonder if it comes up on my end. Otherwise, I can have a different avenue up so I can see your comments. I know there's a way for us to do that. So we'll see. Is it odd when you're live, you're just talking to yourself? I mean, usually I got people interacting with me, but I am really excited to get this started. Let's see if I can find our link today so I can make sure that we're streaming all right. Because that's the point, right? If we're going to have fun, I want to make sure that you are there with me and I can answer your questions. So I'm looking. Oh, okay, cool. So I can see myself live. That's not creepy. And I can see that there are a few people watching. Can't necessarily see comments. I hope that eventually I can see those. That would be super helpful. Category, people and blogs, cool. I just have never been live on YouTube. This is so fun. I'm sorry if you're watching me talk to myself. I really do want to know if I can see you guys and if there's a way for us to all interact during this thing. So that's what I'm looking at. Any suggestions, comments, questions, or concerns, please send them my way. I would love to know how this is going to work. And we will start in about a minute or so. I see that we have 4 viewers. That's awesome. What I was saying is that we're waiting for everybody to come on. And I do want to make sure that if you have questions, I'm able to answer them. So if you want to type a comment, let me know that you're watching. I'd love to know who you are, where you're from, maybe what interests you in this session, because we're going to have oodles of fun. And I want to make sure that I'm here helping you. And if I can't figure this out, then we'll just get started and hopefully we'll be able to interact with questions a little later. That would be really good. I'm going to look settings, restricted mode off. All right. So sorry, I've never done this before. I feel like I'm missing out. I appreciate you guys hanging out. I won't waste your time, I promise. All right. Is it funny that I'm watching? That's so awkward. I appreciate it. At least I can see what you see, which is nothing so far. So I apologize for that. Oh, we're about at 1:01. Awesome. For me, I'm on Central Time. So it's 1 o'clock here. For Eastern Time, we're at 2:01. I do want to get started soon. The last thing that I'm looking into is just how to see comments. So for those of you, if anybody knows how to do that, I would super appreciate your help. I see the chat feature, but that's not helping either because you guys are, I'm assuming, watching from YouTube. But I will figure it out. I would also love to know what other sessions you've seen. So that's really why I wanted to make sure we were able to interact today. I'm going to try one more thing where I'm going to go on this on my computer and see if that's any different. And then I promise we will start chit-chatting because we have a lot to talk about today. And I want to make sure that we get to connect not only right now, but then obviously after this too. It shall be good. Soon, soon, soon. All right, I'm trying one more thing to see if there's a way that I can make sure we're all interacting. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. All right. So in terms of YouTube, I see that you can see me. I can't necessarily interact with you guys the way I was hoping to, but maybe somebody is able to pop in and let me know how to do that. For now, we can at least get started since I know that you guys, I only have you here for a few minutes. And I hope that you've been popping in and out of other sessions too, because there's been some really cool things going on today. So let's start with introductions. My name is Ray Hewart, and I kind of have multiple hats. I am the Director of Training and Development for Progressive Mastery Learning, which is a fabulous company that allows me to connect with teachers daily, truly, and I get to work with them constantly to plan really dynamic and innovative lessons. So I love working with teachers by night. By day, I am a 6th grade math teacher in Central Illinois, so we're on Central Time. And I have a fabulous bunch of 150 cute 6th graders, and I'm the mean old math teacher. It's the perfect blend for me. I'm a teacher by day, and for students, and then I get to work with teachers by night, and then I get to do it all over again. So I'm enjoying that a whole bunch. In terms of this conference, I was really excited to be part of this conference. I actually get to do conferences quite frequently, but the best part of conferences is getting to meet other teachers and then hopefully continue our relationship after just our one meeting. So thank you for being here live with us, and I hope that this is not the only time we get to connect, because this is only the beginning. So we're talking today about my favorite topic. And my favorite topic is something that was developed right as I left college and moved into my teaching career. And what I was finding was that I loved all these progressive concepts that I was learning about in school, right when I was studying in my undergrad. And it was all these progressive things that were going to change the world, change the face of education, right? Interdisciplinary planning, standard-based grading, teaming. I was a middle school major, so I really heard a lot about collaboration and how, project-based learning, all these big dynamic things that were going to transition our students from just sitting in a classroom that was more lecture focused, and then transition into this innovative approach. And so I continued to learn about them, and the more I looked into it, I realized that a lot of these things, at least the way they were being portrayed, only worked if you were in this perfect box, right? This if you had a supportive administrator, if you had collaborative colleagues, if you had all these things going on, then you could make this happen. But if you didn't, it became really challenging to make some of these really progressive concepts work. And I questioned, isn't that so unfortunate? Are we planning our whole time, our whole teaching, philosophy on a flawed schema? If it only works in the most perfect environment, and you had all these people that were invested with you to make this a reality. So I started teaching. I went into the classroom and I was teaching in a small town I'd never been to before. I accepted a job and was like, sure, I'll move anywhere for a teaching gig. And I loved it. I couldn't love it more. And the one piece that I knew was missing as I continued to learn from educational gurus, right? I was really into dynamic teachers that were like at the Ron Clark Academy, and, Hope and Wade King, Ron Clark, Kim Bearden. I mean, these are people that I continued to learn from, and I just got so much inspiration out of. And I still felt like there was this undergrad learning that I had done, progressive concepts. Then these were these fabulous gurus, and there's this little bit still missing. Not intentionally, I'm sure, but this little gap that was still not filled in. And so when I started looking into that, I realized that we needed to find a way to make progressive concepts work in the classroom and have really engaging lessons for our students, and how can we make them all purposeful? So I started teaching using a internship model where my students were taking on internships. And the best part of it was that they were all sponsored by the local community. And so it built this really interesting classroom where my students were no longer coming to math class, but they were coming to work in their internship and learn their content. Well, this eventually grew as I got to thankfully partner with a number of different teachers over the years, and we started calling it the Teach Further model. And it was really because it was already the great things teachers were doing. It just asked them to go one step further and really taking not only the great things they were doing, but making it manageable to happen every single day. So it was not just a great class on Fridays, or not just a great activity on Monday, but how can you add purpose and really meaningful learning experiences for your students in a manageable way that didn't break the bank, and that could happen every single day flawlessly. And so when we started doing this, we started focusing on 3 main pillars, right? You needed curriculum, really rigorous curriculum. You needed connections, not only connections to your students' careers, their future careers, but also their local community. So 2 parts connections. And then last but not least, you needed creativity. You needed a little bit of pizzazz. And so we were blending these, research supported methods. We were blending this engagement tactics that was this big hot topic. And then we were ending it by making it really meaningful for our students by involving our community as huge stakeholders in their success. Now, this is a great idea, right? Sure, it sounded great, but the best part was how teachers ran with it. And so we have teachers that have since, like PE teachers, that are now not just teaching how to play football, but hosting press conferences, practicing soft skills, eye contact, and really learning more than just the game of football, but actually getting sponsors from athletic communities, athletic companies that are then saying, yes, learn football. But then how are you going to make it really intentional? So they're sponsored by a local business. They're now learning soft skills that they can take on forward with them. I have art teachers that are studying like art therapy. And so while they're doing the same great activities that they always intended of doing, now that they have a stronger purpose, they're sponsored by a local business that focuses in mental health. And now students are having very organic conversations about not only how to support one another, but what kindness looks like, right? These are all the things that we always want in our classroom. We teach so much more than content, but how do you fit in soft skills, content, and everything else? And so by framing it within an internship model, teachers started to run with this idea. Now in my classroom, my students take on 25 different themed internships, all sponsored by local businesses. And throughout their time, they're applying all of their Common Core mathematical standards within a very purposeful activity. And sometimes it's big and bold where students are able to participate in classroom transformations, right? We have a pop-up pizza company that we host during our semester. We have an ER that they run throughout their semester. We have days where it pours in my classroom. We do crazy classroom transformations, all sponsored by fabulous gurus in the education field. But doing all these pieces within an internship model has changed the game for my community, because my students are not only spreading their information back into the community by showing their leadership, by showing the things that they've learned in class and then pushing that out to the community, but then our community has purposeful reasons to come into our classroom and support what we're doing. Now, sometimes it's financially, sure, but more importantly, it's to echo the message of the educator. What are we doing? Why are we doing it? Because if you can answer that, if you can start with the why and then go from there, it's amazing what magic can happen. So, all called the Teach Further model. There's a lot of great things that I want to share with you. I know I'm only supposed to talk for about 15 minutes, so I want to give you a few pieces of information to continue this conversation, and then hopefully I'm able to log on and see some of your questions. Again, I'm not sure how I'm doing that, but I'm really eager to do that because I know a lot of this sounds great, but there's so many details in between. If you're interested in learning more about the Teach Further model, we have a free course, and that free course is just like a taste of how we make this turn into a reality. And then the data that we've collected from our pilot classrooms that have taken hold of this and just changed the game by doing it. Besides my classroom, sure, but the teachers out there that have run with it are really my inspiration. You guys are fantastic. And so if you're interested in the free course, all you need to do is go to teachbetteracademy.com. There is a Teach Further free course there and a full course, and you're able to see all of those details. So if you're interested in learning how to create mock internships in your classroom that has this umbrella of purpose and finally starts addressing the why question before the how-to question, and finally starts involving your community and actually seeing what public education looks like, that's where I would go. Start with the free course. There's also a full course and there's a workbook. I'm happy to share anything and everything if you guys have questions on how to do that. The next thing is I really want to stay connected. I'm not sure how you got access to this link. If you're connected with me on social media, I would love to connect. My name is Ray Hewart. And so on Twitter and Instagram, I'm just at Ray Hewart, RaeHughart. You can also connect with me on Facebook. That's a great outlet for teachers to reach out and kind of learn more about me. So that's a great spot as well. And then I am affiliated with Progressive Mastery Learning. And so if you head to thegridmethod.com, you can get all the details on some crazy great PD that we do with teachers and trainings. There's a ton of free courses there. It's an awesome spot for you. Now, I want to leave you before we end with like our comments, and I hope that I can see some comments from all of you. I want to give you just one story. My first year doing this, I was in a very small town and I had no idea what I was doing, and I was just trying to do right by my students, right? I feel like teachers all the time do that. And I had this student, and he was a challenge, right? He was every teacher must have that student, right? The student that you're like, I don't know that I did enough for him. I'm not sure that we're there yet with him. I'm not sure that I was able to touch him in a way that I know that he'll be all right when he leaves me. And that was really hard for me, especially with all the work that I was doing and the impact I was able to see. This student specifically, I knew we had a good relationship. I knew he had a hard life. And I wasn't quite sure what his future looked like anymore. And then I got an email from him recently, actually, last year. I got an email from him. And I was surprised by this. I didn't even know the kid knew who I was. And my name had changed because I got married. So I was like, I don't know how you hunted me down. But he reached out to me personally to tell me about a job that he had just gotten. You know, when I was teaching in my small town, my first Teach Further unit was sponsored by Pizza Hut. Believe it or not, Pizza Hut. It was our pizza unit studying decimals. And we actually did a really great partnership with them. I wholeheartedly love that Pizza Hut. I owe them so much for all the things that they were able to do for my students, including donating a pizza every single unit for all of my students. I mean, they did a fabulous job. But he was so bright and had so many skills that he had somehow remembered that years later, he was able to go there and get a job. And it's just a coincidence, I guess, in some sense, that the manager was still the same manager, and that he had learned enough skills. And I wasn't sure I ever taught him enough, and he was able to learn enough skills, not only in math, but in the soft skills that we're practicing: handshakes, eye contact, how to speak appropriately, how to sit up appropriately, how to address adults, how to network. Can you imagine if we taught our kids how to network and was able to go in to that Pizza Hut and earn a job at 15 and start working? Because I wasn't sure what this kid's future looked like, and to be able to know that he was able to find success in some small way from my 6th grade classroom, I knew we were doing something right. So I challenge you, whether we're able to connect after this or not, I challenge you, please, please, please consider not only the impact you're having on your students, because it's a big one. You're having a great impact on your students. But consider how your community can start getting invested in your students. Because whether we like it or not, our students are only ours alone for a year, unless we're fortunate enough to loop with them. And then they leave, and we cross our fingers and we keep in contact with them as much as possible. But your impact is should be so much more than that. How can we engage with our community to start being stakeholders in students that aren't just their children, but just our schools in general? Start taking ownership on how our students are developing, how they can continue to reach our community, and then how can we inspire those students to go back and be leaders in their community, not just in 20 years when they get into the workforce, but today. How can they use community to not only learn and add purpose to their learning, but then push out their knowledge? Because there's so many things we're doing in schools that our community is not seeing. And could you imagine if we gave them an outlet to actually come into the magical space that we're able to create and see the magic can happen? Now, there's some communities out there doing that, and I love it. But for teachers that are using the Teach Further model and able to really add purposeful internships into their classroom, where communities become invested educators in partnership with their classroom, and students are able to then spread that knowledge back, it's incredible. And I'm eager for you to see the data that we've collected in our free course if you are able to log on to that. But that's teachbetteracademy.com. I know we don't have the time today to pull up all that data, but our students deserve this. Kids deserve this. It's important. So I appreciate you guys being on with me. I know I'm only supposed to talk for 15 minutes and I went over. I'm so sorry. But if you missed the beginning, I hope that you're able to connect with me and let me know what things you enjoyed, what things you may have had questions on. Again, the Teach Further model is all about having 3 pillars: rigorous curriculum, creativity, and then connections. Connections not only to our students' futures, but then connections to our immediate community so our students can walk out the door and see your class in action. Because our classrooms have to be beyond the four walls and have to actually start making a difference in our community, not just in 10 years, but today or tomorrow or Monday or Tuesday or every other day of the week. So I am still live, and I really would love to know how to interact with you. And I haven't figured that out, and I'm incredibly sorry. And I owe you an apology that I'm not quite sure how to interact back and forth with us. So I am going to go back to my YouTube account and see if there's a way, even though I'm still talking live, and I apologize, see if there's a way that I can see your comments so I can answer some questions. Because it was my understanding I'm supposed to tell you like a little blurb for 15 minutes, and then I'm supposed to do a Q&A. And I can do a Q&A as long as you guys want, but if I can't see you, then that's useless. So I am going to head to my YouTube on my phone and see if that's an avenue for us. And if not, I would love for you to reach out to me. You can send me your questions, actually, whether it be social media, but my email. It's Ray at thegridmethod.com, at thegridmethod. So you should be able to see that as well. If you reach out to me through Twitter, I obviously can answer your questions there as well. So I am looking on my YouTube. Unfortunately, I am not seeing comments, which is okay. Maybe you don't have questions, or maybe you do and I just can't see them. And wouldn't that be so goofy of me to still be live looking at that information? If there is any questions, we'll do it this way. If you have any questions for me, please send them through Twitter or Instagram or Facebook. Again, on Twitter, I'm at Ray Hewart. On Instagram, I'm at Ray Hewart. On Facebook, I'm Ray Hewart. You could just find me wherever. And I would love to answer your questions on how I'm involving my community in classrooms, not only in my classroom personally, but in classrooms all around our wonderful country. And like I said, there is a free course. So if you want to just dip your toe into this a little bit more, past what we've already talked about today, you are welcome to go to the teachbetteracademy.com and see all of the courses that we have there on these best practice techniques. Involving the community is just one of the many things that I'm fortunate enough to work with teachers on. And so I hope you choose to get involved. And my last challenge for you before we sign out, thank you for all that you do. Education is phenomenal. And I am so honored to work with teachers the way that I do, so honored to work with students the way that I do as well. But if there's ever anything you need, I hope that you reach out. Thank you so much, Mad PD, for putting this together. Sorry I messed it up. Awesome to see all of you, and I'm eager to check my phone in a few minutes and see messages from each and every one of you, whether it be email, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, or something in between. I'll see you there.